Greetings. Giving thanks on this beautiful, wonderful day. Hope everybody's having a great Thursday evening. Some would call it Thanksgiving. Happy Family Day. Giving thanks on every day, this day and all days. And yeah, we back again with another video. It's your girl coming to you live once again, straight out of South Florida. Samira TV, we in the building. So, wanted to get on here. My husband and I, for a while now, we've been talking about particular subjects, and it's so fitting for the occasion for today because the topic that we've been discussing lately that's been in the public sphere of the social media realm is the battle of the sexes, especially in the Black and brown community. What's up, William David Bland? How you doing? Happy Giving Thanks Day, Family Day.
Happy Thanksgiving, fam.
So, yeah. I've been noticing a lot of different podcasts, and just a lot of discussions on the internet in general about, the family dynamic as it pertains to like women and men, and the different factors that are involved as it comes to the accountability for the family dynamic, starting with the foundation of the man and the woman. It's just a lot of, I don't know if any of y'all watch Cam Newton. He has a podcast. Recently there was a female doctor that I know her to be. However, she was on a recent podcast with Cam Newton, and she's a psychologist, and it sparked a lot of the male and female battling. Not just there, but I'm just, for instance, that's one of the places where I've seen this dialogue. Also, rest in peace, what's his name? Kevin Samuels. He sparked a lot of, this particular dialogue. And there's a lot of blaming for the, reality that we are all in as it pertains to the family dynamic. It's a lot of, men blaming women, women blaming men about why we're at the point that we are. And I kind of feel like we're a little stagnant because it's like once we're finished pointing the fingers, then, we're still left to deal with the reality. Baby,
I'm listening.
Do you have any input or thought about what I just said?
Wow. You gonna put me on the spot. I'm listening. We're doing great. You just stopped and asked me to have some input.
I was just wondering if you did, because I came to a stop because it's like, okay, I really have nothing else to say. So I was just wondering if you had anything that you wanted to add to that.
Not just, for me, it's like, it goes all the way back to probably slavery. Or shit even before slavery. Like, it's always been some type of, what's the word? A competitive thing going on with men versus women. If you get down to it, it's probably the root cause of, a lack of relationship with the Most High. I think the word does say where two or more are gathered, that I am with you. And, I've had good experiences with God by myself, but my best experiences have been shared. So I think part of the devil's design was to separate the man from the woman anyway, because at first I believe they was both equal. That's what I believe. So, Kevin Samuels, and it's been a long line of people But in this particular genre, in this particular era of social media, I feel like that a lot of people feel like they have a voice now. So even if it didn't seem as prominent back in the days, people probably felt that way. They just didn't have a vehicle to express it on. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I could, just using my personal testimony as I transitioned from being single to a single mother to a wife. I remember talks, throughout those different levels of my evolving. And, I can remember being single and being in my late 20s and then, having society demands on being married, having children, having a career. I think that there are certain society norms that we deem to be norms that could sometimes pressure us to feeling like we have to be at a certain status or we have to be, showing up in a certain way in the world. And but yeah, I think that there's a lot of pressure put on people in general, which quote unquote like presents you in a certain way. But I don't know. I feel like in the midst of all of that, with the pressure and things of that nature, we are out of order as far as I think, things just not being done in its natural order of law or way things are supposed to be done. I think that there's been outside factors that have impacted certain decisions for us to not do things in an orderly manner. But I think that we just become at a point now to where we're blaming each other for the state of our flocks or the state of our legacy, the state of our children. A lot of times we can see the decisions we made, things show up in our children. And so yeah, men are blaming women, women are blaming men for the state that we're in. And that could be anything as far as single households, as far as our children, as far as, statistics or whatever. But I think that ultimately, we have to be honest with ourselves and kind of start taking accountability. What else? I don't know. It's so much that, I want to say to unpack this. I just don't be wanting to step on nobody's toes or nothing like that. But even stepping on my toes, that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm so meticulous when it comes to, talking about this, because I've played a role in the negative impact of family dynamics by not doing things in its natural order. For example, you know, just being a single mom, not being married before having children, you know, not completing college the first time around, not being equipped enough to complete the goal of me graduating from college when I initially went. Man, so many different decisions I made that have impacted my life, and not necessarily in a negative way, but it's like when I got married, I had to really learn what a union really meant. And it was tough coming from a single mom and, you know, running, you know, being the head of my household and running my house, like, you know, going from being a single mom to being married. It's a transition because you have to be able to adapt to a different way of thinking and a different way of doing things. So, yeah, I've definitely blamed the opposite sex for, you know, for certain decisions that I made that didn't necessarily have anything to do with anybody else outside of myself. So, however, I think it's important to have these type of dialogues to put things in perspective, and then just to say, okay, what are we going to do moving forward? But earlier in the video, I mentioned Dr. Cheyenne on Cam Newton's, on his podcast. And, you know, they really got into some things in their podcast. And after she left, it was just like a lot of people talking about, you know, the competitiveness between the man and the woman. And, you know, I think that a lot of times we compete with each other, you know, after we have babies, or, you know, in relationships, relationships that didn't work or whatever. It's really deep. But hold on real quick, y'all. Hold on. My bad, y'all. But yeah, it's a deep transition, and it new mind frame that I had to adapt from going from being a single mom to a wife, and the transition from being single to a single mom, you know. But I definitely have, you know, blamed people for my own personal decisions that I have made. And once I got married, and once, you know, I had to really reflect and take a look back on everything and all the decisions I made up until that point, you know, I had to take accountability for a lot of things, you know. I had to look at myself outside of myself. But, yeah, the battle of the sexes is real. You know, the competitiveness, we do, like, right? Okay. This is what I realized getting married, okay? First of all, it is very much so an institution. And at the same time, it's a spiritual bond. Okay, it's like spiritual and physical. And it's definitely work. Like every day, you know, you have to constantly put in the work to have faith in your relationship, your commitment, your union, your vows, and your family, the family dynamic, right? Because it's just not the male and the female, regardless if it's a two-parent household or not. It always involves a mother, a father, and the children, or you know, or if it's just a single dynamic or whatever. But man, help me out a little bit.
Well, I'm kind of at a disadvantage. I don't even know what you're talking about while I was taking care of our son. But as far as like, I don't, you know, if you was to have like a male and a female without children, they still constitute a couple. And if they married, they still constitute a marriage. So I don't. Children definitely changes maybe the conversations that you have by far, but the disagreements, they probably could be over children, but I think it's about being competitive. I think that marriage was set up and structured in a natural way. And when the word submission comes into play, it's like, first of all, according to so-called some history, like we was both in slavery, the man and the woman. So shit, when we got free, nobody's trying to be no slave no more. Well, maybe that was the trick of the devil. Maybe that was a consequence of us not doing what we supposed to be doing. So, you know, so we got put in a compromised position. So somebody wasn't doing what they were supposed to be doing, and we get put in a compromised position, and maybe the punishment was to take a look at ourselves or what we could become. And my thing is, instead of learning from it, we took it to a whole nother level. So I'm just grateful that we even, if we ain't doing nothing, being competitive. If we are being competitive, at least we doing that. With the level of psychological damage that's been done in slavery or in Jim Crow or under oppression, however you want to look at it, I don't think nobody wants to submit. And like I said, that was a trick of the devil, because there is productivity and function in a relationship where there is submission. It's not about the woman submit to the man. It's that the man got to submit to God.
So I think it has a lot to do with order. I said earlier that, you know, a lot of it, of the confusion is due to us being out of order. So I'm glad you talked about that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's a lot.
Let's talk about the paper.
Well, working on a paper in my rhetorical analysis democracy class, and I was talking about adequate health care for all, right? That's the subject. And in the paper, we're talking about, you know, how there's a few who are pretty much controlling the whole dynamic of the healthcare system. And, you know, people are at a disadvantage because we're not getting the proper health care that we need. And there's language barriers, cultural barriers, generational trauma, different things that, that get in the way of it. That's a factor.
Yeah, it facilitates dysfunction. The gist of the paper was to like take a look at how democracy has shaped and formulated this experiment called the United States. And to me, on paper, it sounds great. You know what I'm saying? But in practice, it's flawed. Because we're dealing with human beings and man's laws and man-made societal laws. And what's deep about the Constitution is they didn't even do that. They, like the so-called founders of this nation or whatever, they didn't write their Constitution. That is something they stole from the Iroquois Confederacy. Like they took somebody else's stuff and used it to usurp their land, basically. You know what I'm saying? So if you look at it, just the inception of this country and how it was so-called birthed, man, and then they have the nerve to say that certain people are 3/5 of a citizen, then put a Band-Aid on that statement with the 13th Amendment, which all right, so let me see, that 1 + 1 equals you can shoot a black person and damn near get away with it, but you might have to pay some money. Because that's like property. Like, if you damage somebody else's property, you're going to have to pay for it. You see what I'm saying? But there ain't no justice. They can say just about anything. I'm saying, like, it's utterly ridiculous how a racist-ass country can say you're being racist. And you know why they can say that? Because you're not a citizen. You're 3/5 of a citizen. And they ain't changed that. There ain't been no rewriting of that shit. And then they specifically said, you black people, Negroes, African Americans, whatever other kind of moniker, you are not a whole citizen. So how can you give rights to less of a person? If you're a person, you're not a whole person, you don't get no rights. Whole people have, incomplete people don't get rights. So I wasn't the best at math, but 3/5 don't equal up to a whole. So knowing these things, man, is like, and when you take that premise, and this is not conjecture. I'm not theorizing. It's the facts. I got stats and statistics to back all this up. So when you get a premise of democracy under a constitution, and in that constitution, talking about men deserve the right to rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, except for you. You know what I'm saying? And then that whole ideology spurred the fact that people could look at us and say we're less than human. And then when you take the media and the stereotypes that are lamentated on top of that, you know what I'm saying? Like, any way that a black person can be stereotyped and made fun of, and it's been going on for so long, we do it to ourselves, like, and everything else. The violence that happened to us happened for so long, now we do it to ourselves. The rape that happened to us for so long, now we do it to ourselves. It's like, that's some deep, deep witchcraft, man. Well, I'm talking about some deep witchcraft. And then it's the distraction is the Illuminati. This small percentage of people over here. These people over here. Like, okay, look this way, that way, this way, that way, this way. And the real problem is you. You're your own worst enemy. You are. Yeah, that part. Because for real, like, it really doesn't matter what nobody else do. It's how you respond to it. And now you ain't got no excuses because, shit, everybody's awoke to it. It ain't no blind people. You know what I'm saying? Look at the church. The percentage of people going to church has dropped dramatically. And I'm not saying, I believe in Jesus Christ. I ain't even gonna stunt. Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior. So I'm gonna keep it real. I don't care who I disappointed, who I hurt, who's feeling. I don't care about none of that. I know the word was revealed to me and the Spirit is in me. So I know when I speak, I can speak and I have to speak right out the scriptures. I'm talking the living word. You know what I'm saying? But for real, it's like, you're your own worst enemy. It ain't the system. It's not men versus women. It's not none of that. It's like, I don't have a versus. Anytime I found myself at odds with anybody else, it's my fault. It's truly my fault. Because I'm either trying to prove my point, make it right, make it where I want it to be, make it how I want it to be, or I'm not accepting that they could be right, or I'm not accepting that both of us could be right. I mean, I'm just saying, like, okay, so at that point, when I'm in a versus, I'm gonna hold myself accountable. So what I'm saying is this, like, it's like we've been conditioned to go against one another. You know what's really funny though? It's like when we was like under the spell, they could do a move like this. Well, women's rights. women don't have rights. And then here's the trick though. When the white women go get their rights, the black women go with them and get their rights. Okay, so but when the white women get their rights, they get some power. When the black women get their rights, their man's not home no more. But those same white women who were saying white women ain't got no rights, they still in their families. They still got their husbands, granddaddies, all that shit. So they took that money and that power and put it right back where it already was. You see what I'm saying? They already had power. Say, okay, let's just say they didn't like the fact that their husband was cheating on them and they couldn't do nothing about it, and then he had a job, and then because he had a job, he had power over them, so they went and got a job. But you still had a husband. You still taking that same fucking money or whatever. It's still over there. But all it did was broke our homes apart. Created a super independent woman. And she wasn't white. Yeah, the same white women went back home. The feminist movement is over for them. Oh, but look where it got us. And all it was about was letting nobody want to submit. And then here's the black man, he don't want to submit, so he fucks with white women, Chinese, anything other than what he came from, because he don't want to submit. He don't have to submit to anything else. He has to submit to that order. Now, I'm not even being racist or racial because I'm half white and half, I'm all types of racist and shit. So I'm not being racist. I'm being factual. When people have been stripped of their culture, when people have been stripped of a nationality, forced to accept another people's culture and then supposed nationality on their own land.
I think it has something to do with the family dynamic too, though. Like something happened with the family dynamic. The community.
Well, if that's the case, that shit happened before white people got involved. Because my whole point was we damaged because of slavery, or because of so-called this nation being born. When this nation was born, it oppressed us, and by, if you study war, every tactic of war is to break the family up. Not just defeat the men, break the family up. Because it's power in a family. It's power in a union. It's power in that. So this has been going on shit since Adam and Eve. When you say that was like come on, we was talking about that the other day.
How everybody blamed the woman, everybody blamed Eve, but nobody asked where Adam was.
He was at work. he was at work, wasn't he? Because if I ain't mistaken, Adam didn't really have no job. His job was to care for God's creation. So
you said he was with Lily, his first wife.
Her name was, okay, what's her name?
You said Lillian?
No, that's my grandmother's name.
Well, what was her name?
Lilith.
Lilith.
So that's what I said.
Yeah. So he was at work or with Lily? Or both?
I don't know.
That's what you said. He was with Lily.
Lily? No, I said he was with Lilith. Lilith.
Lilith.
Say an F at the end if you got to. Lilith.
I'm gonna say it Florida style.
Well, go ahead and say it.
I can't pronounce it the way you want me to pronounce it, right? Lilith.
I didn't want you to pronounce it the way I want you to pronounce it.
Lilith.
I just didn't want you to call it my grandmama's name.
Well, that's my auntie's name too.
But we was talking about the fact that Adam, what was he doing? Like literally, what was he doing? Because
it doesn't say.
If all he had to do, because he didn't have to go to work till after they got put out the garden. That's after he ate the apple. I'm just curious as to where he was, while his woman was chilling with Satan. What opened that door up? So what we're gonna do is we're not gonna just blame people, because if you blame people and systems, you'll always be caught up in that spill. You gotta hold yourself accountable. Are you actually honoring the Most High with your life and your walk in life? You know, because there's a protection in that. It's definitely a protection in that. Now, do we still disagree? Hell yeah. But do we see the big picture? I hope so, for real. Because it's a lot of pictures out there, man, right through here, and you don't have to say it. I can say it for you. There's some messy shit going on out there. You know what I'm saying? Anytime fathers is killing brothers and daddies over foolishness, man, I'm saying like, okay, take your chance if you want to. Independent up. Black man and black woman. Independent your ass to wherever you're going to end up at, because that independent shit ain't going to work. You see what I'm saying? Like, I'm going to keep it real. Independence does not work. What are you independent of? The need for someone else?
I don't know. When I was independent from my ex situations, it was a peace of mind. And nothing beats that. So I'm not saying that, you know, being in a relationship with you, I have a peace of mind, because our relationship is under the Most High. You submit to the Most High, and I submit to you. So, yeah, I have a peace of mind with that. But in other relationships, I've left when the peace of mind wasn't there no more, because then I'm no good for nobody. So I'm not saying, no, it's order is good. Order is great. I love it. But have I made mistakes, and have I had to take accountability? Absolutely. I'm on here right now. So hopefully I am living in my purpose, but I'm not like independent. I ain't it. No. I wanted a husband. I need my man. But there's been times where I've left because it wasn't healthy for me, the children, nobody. But am I a feminist? Do I, live by the independent black woman law? No. Do I understand why they're feminists? Yeah, God allowed it, but, I understand why men are frustrated. I understand why, some men or women, choose to not be committed to one relationship. Because we're operating under dysfunction, under generational trauma, under unhealing, spaces and environment. So it's probably a miracle that I got married, honestly, because being a single mom of two pre-marriage, not necessarily having a college degree, not having all the things, or having things statistically that wasn't in my favor, yeah, I definitely did. But it's the mindset. It's really, your relationship with yourself, which is a relationship with God, because I had to constantly tell myself that, no, you deserve better. No, you're worth it. No, you remember your goals. You remember, what you said you wanted to be and who you said you wanted to be or whatever. So I had to constantly remind myself of who I was and what I was capable of, and having an opinion outside of the one that was norm. I had to fight a lot of odds and fight a lot of statistics and conversations that I was hearing, to not internalize that I couldn't obtain what I wanted.
Yeah, if there was ever a time to do it, it's now. Find your purpose and enjoying yourself in something healthy and natural. It's the time is now. It looks bad. It's rough out there. It's messed up. But that's what happens when things fall apart. Anytime I've ever seen things fall apart, man, like, not always instantly, but damn more than often, I was looking for the rebirth. What's next? You know what I'm saying? Not like I didn't give a shit, but hell, what am I supposed to do? Fall apart with it? Nah, man, it's time to build. Now's the time to build. Seriously, when it looks its worst, that's the time to act. That's the time to really actually put the work in, like optimal health as well. Like, for real. You know what I'm saying? Because when you don't understand what's going on around you, it's kind of hard to make changes. Like, we was talking about the healthcare industry and shit, and how we're leading in damn near all the bad, debilitating diseases, how we done the most abortions, how we don't report if we're sick, how we underreport, how we report late, how our morbidity and morbidity and something else, another N word, how that is higher than everybody else. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, man, dude, why is it we don't know how many abortions that we've actually had? You know what I'm saying? As a people, how we don't know how many? Like, is that because most of us don't have health insurance, or because of our financial situations and where we are economically? A lot of times people, I don't think it's just people don't want to have children. I think a lot of times the woman might get pregnant by somebody else, or he might get somebody else pregnant. You see what I'm saying? I think that's a lot of it. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna lie, I think that's probably more than 50% of the abortions of unwanted children. It's children they don't nobody want to know about. You can see what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, I definitely had one. So let me go ahead and put my shit out there.
But wouldn't that go unreported?
Let me just say it, because, I definitely had an abortion, and I'm not proud of it. But see, one thing about me is that I'll testify, because maybe it'll help somebody else. I'm not proud of it. I don't condone it. You feel me? But what I was saying earlier is that in order for me to stay true to myself, I have to protect myself. I have to, have self-compassion for myself and others, because you never know who's struggling with it right now, or, struggling with some stuff. So I'm praying for everybody who has had an abortion. I'm praying for those babies. I'm praying for the blood. I'm praying, God, please help us, because it's a real thing, abortion is, as far as us, the population is dwindling, like seriously dwindling.
Man, they had the nerve to sell that to us as a talking point during the election, that you had a right to make your own decisions.
Well, that's every election. That's been going on for 100 years. The way in the road versus Roe or whatever, it's like, it bought it back out. But for 100 years, this has been this has been an issue. So, I've definitely contributed to some of the negative impact in the world. That's why I promote health as well, But recently, when I went to church, that was one of the things that I laminated over. But that's what I'm saying, like, those things of trying me and my heart, my soul, my body and my spirit, of telling me that I wasn't worthy of being married, that I wasn't worthy of, producing children in a wedlock. And, but, I do believe that if you do something one time and you repent and you ask God to forgive you, if God can forgive me, so can I. But I do not condone it. I do not promote it. I'm not pro-abortion.
Well, the reason why I was talking about it is because I'm saying, because we are in like a immoral country and we do not have the resources truly, and we do not have the true resources to make, like really informed decisions. Informed spiritual decisions. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not saying who's right or wrong or whatever. It's between them and God. I'm saying that it's sad that those are some choices that are being made sometimes.
Yeah, especially when it's, in poverty. I bet a lot of them is made, it's done because of poverty too.
Yeah, and then the way that we've been conditioned to think that we can't afford to have children. And shit, like my wife just said, we can't afford not to have children. Like, this is war. And if we keep thinking that the way they want us to think, we're going to lose. We need to think the way God wants us to think. Like, if two people love each other and y'all doing something positive, you'll have that baby. I believe all babies should have an opportunity to live. You know what I'm saying? I firmly believe it. I don't believe I believe situations happen and the shit ain't fair. It's fucked up, all kind of shit. You know what I'm saying? But if that baby's here, that baby's here. I feel like that baby deserves to be here. You know what I'm saying? For real. And I've had situations where I've done it too. I've participated in abortions. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not no innocent bystander where I got this conviction and I'm going to stand on it so strong. Shit, I'll be convicting myself or condemning myself. I'm just saying, irregardless, I still think the baby should have got a chance to live.
But, so deep conversations being had. And, but I think that more conversations like this need to be had because, once we get out of secrecy and start really putting things and bringing things to the forefront, then we can move. We can move accordingly.
Yeah, and it purges that competitive nature out of it. A lot of times we don't want to be right. We don't want to be wrong, or we don't want to listen because we hurt people. Like we've been hurt, so we don't want to say that somebody else could be right or wrong, or be open, being vulnerable. That's what it is. We kind of like don't want to be vulnerable. So a lack of vulnerability is like a true hamper in communication. It's a true obstacle to communication.
Yeah, because the opposite is pridefulness.
So I don't think we don't like each other. I think we don't like ourselves because we ain't did what we're supposed to do. We ain't put the proper footwork in to actually heal ourselves.
And I think we've been conditioned to go against one another. I really do. Y'all ever heard the term sleeping with the enemy? That's real.
Oh, my enemy's thirsty. Let me go.
Because society, well, you know, like the feminists, and then you have the, you know, everybody using the narcissist and the cavemen. You have hot girl culture, hot boy culture. A lot of different back and forth. It's just we're living in a real interesting times when it comes to male, female interaction, interpersonal communications. But on a serious note, it's really affecting our population. You know, it says men lie, women lie, but numbers don't lie. So we gotta keep it real with ourselves. You know what I mean? And really start having these conversations. You know, and some stuff might hit home. You know what I mean? But truth and mercy, man, it purges iniquities. So we gotta be truthful with ourselves. And I had to be truthful with myself. Shit, when I was single and I was in my late 20s, unmarried, no child, you know, even then, you know what I'm saying? If you unmarried with no child, people start looking at you crazy. And if you married with no child, people start looking at you crazy. You know what I mean? It's just a lot of pressure. I know on women, it's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure on not getting older. It's a lot of pressure on being a certain weight. It's a lot of pressure on hair, aesthetics, this, that. Hell, I know a lot of women don't even want to be in a relationship because of the pressure. You know, it's one thing to be single, but then when you get in a union, that's a whole nother thing. So yeah, it has something to do with each individual and the way you react, because things are gonna happen, you know, and situations are gonna occur. But man, we are in a crisis, and I don't know how much longer we're gonna blame each other before we really start doing the work of healing from this generational trauma, because it's taking a toll on our children, and they need to really see it. Like with the population density and dissolving rate that we're at, right now we should be in problem-solving mode, you know, and in a place of healing, in a place of, what's the word?
Restoration?
Yeah, that. But we have not been true to ourselves. We are both in a delusion. Thus, the children suffer. You know, I wanted to get in a relationship. I wanted to get in a healthy marriage because I wanted to be able to demonstrate that and provide that space for my children, you know. And for myself, I felt like I deserved it. Like, that's the thing. Like, I think for it to all come together, you know, everything, it has to be done out of righteousness. So I don't have all the answers because I'm living and I'm learning as I go. But I think that some women might be scared of submission because, one, I don't think we really fully know what all it entails. Two, it can be dangerous to the wrong person. Three, we feel like, some of us feel like we have to like lose part of ourselves or lay down or, you know, give up our rights or whatever. But it's a very vulnerable process, but you know, it's worth it with the right person. But I'm gonna say this though. You do evolve, but your relationship with the Most High becomes stronger. So that's what you don't lose. You don't lose your relationship with the Most High. It's renewed. It's something that's new too, you know? But I think for a lot of us, maybe that's what the internal, well, I can't speak for everybody, okay? But I think that's what it was for me. Losing my identity, not really knowing fully what it meant. And not only that, I'm a natural leader. So, you know, I might not be like the average female, or I might be, I don't know, but maybe some other women are struggling with that. Because some men are intimidated by that. Some men don't like it. It might not align with some men. So I think that it's very important to be properly aligned. Hey, Miss Gwen. Happy Thanksgiving, love. I hope you had a very blessed day. Hope the food was good. But any thoughts?
I appreciate what was shared.
Okay. Well,
Better watch a movie.
Well, optimal health as well. Peace.